you guys? It's Shekinah, aka the Purpose Therapist, and this is Journey to Joy. I realized that as I was building like Purpose Joy, and as I was going on my own journey of self care and mental health and things like that, I've encountered a lot of different people, clients and friends, family members alike, and there's been a constant conversation about my ability or my seeming it seems to be ability to maintain joy and to have this have that type of countenance. And I think that it would be a complete and total disservice to make people think or like have this idea that I woke up like this, because I absolutely positively did not. This is work for joy, this is bought joy, this is purpose driven joy. And so I wanted to be able to have a conversation with you guys about like my journey to joy and what different things that I've been able to like identify for myself, like tackle, and how those different processes like came up, and like what I was able to do and what I hope I can bring light to do. A lot of this I'm still doing, but to try to like give us some practical tools and help you reattach yourself to the idea that you too have this power. It's not something that's unattainable. Joy is reachable. Joy is something that we can maintain. Joy is something that when we understand how it works and where it comes from, we can attach ourselves to it. And joy is something that's inevitable, and it is your God-given right. You deserve to live a life that's full of joy and full of peace and full of prosperity in that way. You deserve a wealthy and a healthy life. You do, and joy is at the foundation of that. So I wanted to kind of go through a couple of topics that I feel like were obstacles between me and my joy in my journey, and share with you some of those tools and tips that I might have used through there, and like help you to kind of like apply them yourself. So let's just get right into it. The first conversation is about grief. Now, for those of you that may or may not know, around the age of 17, I lost my father to colon cancer, and he was my best friend. Like, when I tell you best friend, like, if you've ever seen a picture, we look just alike, and our spirits are very similar as well. My dad was a pastor. He was he worked in prison ministry. He was a mental health technician. He worked with mental health. All things around a lot of how I show up is directly related to my relationship with my dad. And so when he passed away, the type of experience that was almost like somebody ripping a part of me from me. And I'm not going to hold you, I have never been able to experience or have a space where that has been completely repaired, and I don't think it ever will. It doesn't matter how, like, I just got my license not so long ago, like last week, and although it was one of the most joyous moments of my life, it still was like, dang, I wish my dad was here, you know what I'm saying, to be able to like bask in this exciting moment with me. So grief is the first thing I want to like dispel around grief, is that it's not linear. It doesn't, although we do have our phases that we go through with it, and we have these different stages, like denial and shock and anger, bargaining, all these different things. There's also this very real truth that it does not stay over there. It might resurface. Different moments in your life, you might get back to that place of like feeling that sadness. But what had to happen for me as it relates to navigating that, and the things I'm still doing navigating it, is attaching myself to some type of purpose, some type of identity that's bigger than that grief experience that allowed me to continue to push through. And that piece of purpose was my relationship with God. My dad's relationship with God was really empowering for me. My name in itself is like related to is evidence of his relationship and my mom's relationship with God. And so when it came down to me, it's almost like I had to hold on to deeply my name. So Shekinah is like the divine presence of God, and then my middle name is Joy. So does Purpose Joy, that's where that comes from, right? And so reminding myself of who I was and what that meant, and that's something that is sustainable and can be maintained throughout regardless, was one of those big things that helped me. Another thing that I want to kind of like share around that was that while I was in that grieving process, it was very much so isolating. It was disconnecting. It was painful. Okay, I was like really by myself in a way, or at least I thought I was, and I didn't. The light on at the end of the tunnel, and it'll join come in the morning, all this other kind of stuff. Although I understood it and heard it and I believed it, I could not receive it. It was hard for me. So the only alternative was to, I was like practicing mindfulness before I knew it was a thing. The grief from my father led me to dropping out of school. The grief from my father led me to disconnecting, having a terrible relationship with my mom. The grief from my father led me to second guessing who I was and how I was supposed to show up in the world. And so I had to really hide myself. You see what I'm saying? Like legit hide myself in a way that said, okay, Shekinah, who are you? Right? And although I was grieving, the fact that I was like presently here was part of the thing that helped me keep going, is leaning back into who I am, right? So one of the biggest things for grief is like, number one, acknowledging that you're there, that I'm not my best self right now. And the reason why I'm not my best self right now is because like who I am as I am, I'm having to redefine it because of the grief that has happened. Now, grief doesn't just have to do with like our like somebody physically transitioning. It's not just related to that. Grief can be related to a change in relationship. Grief can be related to a change in job. Grief can be related to a change in friendship. All those things, and we'll talk about different spaces of that in other episodes. But I want us to understand that literally, and we're talking about the concept of identifying that you're grieving is the most important part. Identifying that there is something there's an adjustment that has been made, there's a shift that has happened, and I need to figure out what I need to do with myself to show up in the way that I'm supposed to, right? So that's step number one, acknowledging that there is something that has shifted. Something is different, right? So that was number one. Number two was, once I realized that something had shifted, I had to separate myself. So when I say separate myself, I don't mean like go in a corner and things like that. Separating myself meant identifying that the spaces that I'm in, I need my ultimate attention right now, right? My friends, at the time I was like dancing and things like that. When I realized that that's what was happening for the last couple of years, the relationships I was in, all that kind of stuff, I needed to hide myself and protect myself, and I needed to start pouring into myself, right? So step number one was like acknowledging that something needs to happen. Step number two was pouring into myself. And step number three for me was attaching myself to the person that I know knows me better than anybody else, and that's God. I had to go back and fight. When I tell you fight, I mean really fight for an acknowledgement and an understanding of who I am in God, because I couldn't see it for myself, right? And so in different spaces, now this is before I started therapy. This is before all that stuff, because I didn't start therapy until like 2018, right? So although I am a big, huge advocate for all things mental health, there's another concept of that too, and that's that spiritual aspect of it for myself. And that part had to be adjusted before I could even tap into anything. Before I could even hear a therapist talk to me, my spirit had to be in order. You see what I'm saying? To be able to receive redirection, to be able to receive a better understanding of myself, and to be able to receive what I needed to do to get to that next step and next level. So number one, it was acknowledging it. Number two, it was being able to separate myself. And number three, it was connecting myself back to the person that I know can help me and support me and get me where I need to be, right? And then the last part, number four, was being patient with my process. And that is still something that I'm working on to this day. There's so many things that I wish I was just over. I can't explain it, but I wish I was just over it. I wish I wasn't thinking about this anymore. I wish this wasn't causing me pain anymore. I just wish I was over it. But I think the only way I'm able to attach to the joy that still exists in my life is by understanding and holding space for both of them. There's going to be moments where I grieve, but there's going to be so many moments of joy still, you know? There's going to be moments when I'm upset and mad and irritated and wish that this wasn't the case anymore and something about this could change, and frustrated about the fact that why isn't this happening? But there's still so much other spaces of joy and beautiful relationships and friendships. I still have my mom. I still have my brother. I still have an immense, the relationships I have. I know that God knew that these are the people that I needed in my life, because I have the most supportive and loving and kind family members and friends and church members, coworkers, things like that. I've been surrounded by love, and everywhere I look, there's love, right? And I know that my only way I can survive this is the acknowledgement that both of them can exist. So I can be sad, I can be upset, I can be grieving, but I can also lean in heavily into my relationships that are here, the love that is here, the care and the joy and the peace that is here. So I'm gonna be honest with you, that's how I fuel myself through the grief. It's the idea that there is a life that exists. I'm still here. And there's a life that exists because I'm still here. There are relationships and positive situations that can happen because I'm still here. And so how dare I? Um, how dare I be so dismissive of a potential of a future because a shift has happened in that way. So I think that for me, identifying joy past grief has everything to do with like being able to lean into the things that are presently here. And it's not a linear process. Like I said, my dad that passed away in 2009, it's 2023, and I just got my license last week and had a whole entire boohoo session over the fact that he wasn't here to witness it. And spiritually I attached myself to the idea that he knew, or he's aware, or his energy still with me, and I do believe that. But in addition to that, he's physically not here, and that's something that I have to accept. But with that acceptance, I've been surrounded by so much love and so much joy and so much appreciation and gratitude that it helps me to hold it. It helps me to be able to hold both. So I hope that in this you were able to take away something that was encouraging for you, supported you, gave you some type of direction as to where to start. But like acknowledging that some things are different, right? That's not isolating yourself, so you can go ahead and start taking that time to pour into yourself, like really being intentional about taking care of you. Then once you do that, kind of attaching yourself to who are you now? What does reforming my identity look like? What does reforming how I show up now look like now that I've transitioned out of this space or this has changed? And then really being able to acknowledge that both can exist. I can be in pain. It can hurt, but I can also grab hold to and love and care and support all the other love, give back to the other love that surrounds me still. So that's my piece. I hope this was helpful for you. If you need any extra support in this area, please feel free to shoot me a DM or anything like that. And if it was helpful, let me know. This was Shekinah, aka the Purpose Therapist. Cultivate purpose, you cultivate joy, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.